Hello, everybody. As always, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. I am Coach Paul, and this is Hola Prime's Market News Update. To start, the White House confirmed a 90-day tariff pause on China, further delaying the economic clarity between the two trading partners. Japan's money supply is up over 1% year over year, compared to the previous figure of 0.9%. Also, USD JPY traded down 0.3% in today's session. The pair is currently trading at 148.31 yen to the dollar. Singapore also had some economic data releases this evening, with Q2 GDP at plus 4.4% year over year versus 4.3% expected, and a 1.4% quarter over quarter figure meeting forecasts. The US dollar showed a little bit of strength amongst most of the major currency pairs. US equities were down today, with the S&P 500 losing about 0.4% and the Nasdaq and the Dow Jones each down about 0.56%. Euro USD traded negatively today, down 0.25%, testing its 50-period EMA on the daily chart before bouncing and closing at 1.1642. The pair is currently trading at 1.164 as of now. CAD USD is down slightly today as well, settling at 0.72695, down about 0.16%. The pair is currently trading at 0.7272 as of this writing. GBP USD had a small loss in today's trading session, down 0.14%, and currently trading at 1.3437 as of this writing. The Swiss franc dropped 0.46% today and is currently trading at 1.2369. Lastly, the New Zealand dollar slid against the US dollar, down 0.24% and trading at 0.5948 as of right now. Gold futures dropped bigly in today's session, down $65 per troy ounce after Trump announced gold bullion will not be tariffed. Currently, gold futures are trading at about $3,400, starkly down from its highs 2 sessions ago of about $3,535. This puts us back in the middle of its nearly 4-month consolidation range, as silver futures also followed suit, dropping about 90 cents per troy ounce, closing the day at $37.64. Bitcoin futures rallied nicely as of this afternoon. It was up to 122,915 in today's session, but did close back down barely above its open price at 119,430. A net $2,000 gain from the previous trading session close, as Bitcoin seems to be on the hunt for a run up to its previous all-time high of $124,720. WTI crude oil futures held its ground above the $63 per barrel level, closing the day at $64.01, up roughly 70 cents from the previous day's close. And last but not least, we do have a few important economic data events tomorrow. The Reserve Bank of Australia will have its cash rate statement tomorrow, where it's expected to cut rates by 25 basis points, down to 3.6%. The U.S. has core CPI month over month, along with regular CPI month over month and year over year data coming out in the morning at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time. We could see this set the tone for tomorrow's trading day, to say the least. We also have FOMC members Barkin and Schmid speaking at 10 a.m. and 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time, respectively. Now, without further ado, it is time for our Quiet Markets live trading session with both myself and Coach Tiger. So let's get to trading. Hello, Coach
Howdy,
Tiger.
how's it go?
What is
How's it
going
going?
on, my friend?
Oh, another
It is
day in
going good.
paradise. Yep.
Same
Just
here. Same
good,
here.
good deal. Just getting ready for some thunderstorms. Looks like about to pop in the area here in Kansas
Oh,
City. So,
you'll be fine up in your little penthouse. You're going to be sipping on a glass of whiskey or something,
oh,
maybe
I don't
30
even want
years
to hear that
aged.
word
I
right
don't
now.
know, something.
I don't even want to hear that word right now. We had a pool party on Saturday, and I'm still hurting from it. Not even gonna
Touche.
lie.
Fair enough.
Yeah. No more. No
Uh,
mas. Yeah, I'm
I
running into
had
some
one of
friends.
those days. I had one of those days like a couple weeks ago where I was like, "Oh my goodness, I am not. I am gonna not, have a drink for quite a long time." uh,
Yeah, well,
so I know how you
ran into some
feel.
friends I hadn't seen in quite a while. So, yeah, everything was
Yes.
fine until he whipped out the bottle of Don Julio. I'm like, oh
Oh
no,
man.
this ain't gonna be good.
That's. I mean, it is a good time, but it's not a good time if you know what I mean. So
Till the next day it happens. Yeah,
exactly,
yeah.
exactly. But
Reminded me
that's
of why
cool
I
though. You
don't
got
take
to.
this stuff.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. You got to see some, friends which is awesome that you haven't seen in a while. So that's good to
Yeah,
hear. It's always a good time to be able to catch up with people that escape you, whether it's due to distance or just busy schedules. So,
yeah.
but yeah. So, how was the trading day? How was the trading morning? I should say for you. How was everything? Work? I mean,
Um,
it looked like the pairs were relatively like the U.S. pairs, at least major ones were nothing too crazy necessarily.
yeah. I went 1-1 today. I closed out a euro dollar trade uh, for about 130 bucks, and then I took away some of it from an Aussie Swiss short, $95 loss on it, so plus 35 for the day on the
Yeah.
account, the GUI trades account. But on my other broker, I didn't take that Aussie Swiss. It was more of a kind of a it was a trade I was doing a little experimenting on, so didn't quite feel comfortable enough taking it on my other broker. So I'm glad I did. I'm glad that's the way I set it up. Because on the other broker, it was like $770, I think, win
Okay.
for the euro dollar. So yeah, I mean, and the Aussie Swiss, it was on my radar last week for a short, but it had since dissipated to just neutral. But the Aussie dollar is still one of the weaker currencies, and the Swiss franc is still one of the stronger currencies. So I was trying a little experiment on it, and it just didn't quite pan out. But yeah, small loss on it, no big deal. Still in the green for the day. That's all we can ask for, right? Be in the green.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
definitely. I agree.
yeah.
I
How about
I was the same way. I was the same way, kind of. I took a bunch of trades today, but I came out slightly in the green. I was up like $75 or something, so nothing too
yeah?
crazy. But I am looking at the moment. I haven't traded gold in a little bit, and I'm looking to trade gold, but
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm sure you saw the gold move today. My goodness. Oh, dude, as soon as I said I'm about to trade gold and I'm looking at the chart, it just went up $1 per ounce in literally 1 second. Dang.
Yeah.
Dang, dang, dang. That's unfortunate. Shoot. But gosh. But yeah, gold's like had a massive down day today, and it's kind of bouncing a little bit. It dipped below the 3,400 level. I'm gonna just share my screen, I guess. That
Yeah.
makes sense, right? Maybe I should do that.
Yeah, while you're sharing, gold is number one on my top setups page right now with a bullish score of 8.
Okay.
So
All right.
there's really only three things going against it, and that's GDP, retail sales, and PPI. But the things that are for gold bullish: interest rates, employment change, PCE, both PMIs, trend, seasonality, retail positioning, and the COT report. So COT, yeah, big banks, institutions increased their longs. I think that was the number one increase that the big banks had. So yeah, the same. I mean, I'm bullish gold, just waiting for a little bit of a dip myself.
Yeah, yeah. Um, the only thing that worries me about gold is it keeps finding news events to continue to trade within its daily, like, 4 month range. So it,
Yeah.
like, when something happens, it spikes up to the top of that range, and then
Yep.
when something good happens for it, it spikes up to the top of it. And then when something bad happens, it spikes back down into the middle of the range, and then like maybe trickles closer to the lower end of the range over the next few days or whatever. And then it just seems to be doing that more so, and it's very annoying to trade because you just have to be very disciplined in the range trade, essentially, especially specifically if you're a swing trader. Like, you have to be very disciplined.
Yeah.
But it's
Yeah. All
also
three of us.
tough to, at
All
least
three of
at
us.
least the tariff stuff is like gone now, so at least you don't have to worry
Yeah.
about the tariff and everything, so that's out the door. But yeah.
Yeah. All three of us on Forex Fire have been complaining about it for the last couple, 3 weeks, but it just
Yeah.
coincided. We're just like getting the stick and prodding it to do something. But yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't care what it does. It can either break that top at like the 34.40 and just close somewhere up there, retrace to a demand, or it can, yeah, come all the way down. I mean, I've got an alert on the XAU USD anyway of 3,300. So that's where I'm looking at. If I can get a
Yeah.
retracement there, or my favorite move would be to break and retest. Is really the number one goal I have for this thing. Yeah, just get up in the 34.40, 34.50 range and just close. Just close for one day and then retrace.
Right.
That's all I'm asking. Not asking too much, right?
Right. Right. Same. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm right there with you.
We all
I
are,
mean,
right? Everybody.
I uh I genuinely do think, I mean, my bias with gold, this is not advice to anybody or anything. This is just my own bias and what I personally think. I think eventually, I mean, my belief is that we will eventually break out to the top, to the upside of this range. I don't know how
Yeah.
many more months it's going to coil for. I don't know, but I have a little bit of a bullish lean on gold at the moment. I don't think that its overall run is over, but it's just
Yeah.
gonna probably coil around until maybe there's another, like, more major. I mean, there have been larger news events for gold, but like a major economic news event, once that comes out, like, it's going to be off to the right. Like, if something regarding CPI is off or labor stuff is off or whatever, this thing, I think,
Yeah.
is going to be off to the races. But I guess, on the flip side, if it all falls in line and there's less speculation on the economy taking any sort of dip, then maybe it breaks below that range and tries to settle somewhere lower before trying to make maybe a little bit of a grind higher again. But yeah, that's just my bias, my personal bias at the moment.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
Uh,
just looking at the U.S. data this week, I mean, if everything hits the forecast, which we all know it's just like meteorologists, right? It's never going to happen. But if everything were to hit 100% with the projections, then it's actually, I mean, just looking at everything as an aggregate, it looks like it would favor the dollar this week. But yeah, you get you get the slightest cool reports on some of these, and yeah, I could see it breaking, but I don't know. I don't really think this is the week for it. I mean, you don't have
yeah,
anything major on the dollar. I mean, the CPI obviously is going to be a big one, but which is tomorrow, right?
yeah,
Yeah, it's tomorrow 7:30. So right after my Forex Fire stream ends, I'll definitely be looking at that. But yeah, I
nice.
mean, overall, just a rather quiet week. The next week, you got the flash PMI numbers coming out, but yeah, I mean, just looking at the economic data, it's actually quite quiet for the next couple of weeks. Oh, one second. Excuse me. Sorry about that. Oh yeah,
Beautiful.
yeah. Feel better now. But but yeah, just a bunch of
I
hurry up and wait, hurry up and wait, and just like the military when it comes to
yeah.
gold. I
I
mean, I
am
have.
long. I am long gold, by the way, right now.
Oh, okay. Get in on that there
Yeah,
spike.
I did right before it like spiked a little bit. Well, that spike up, 5 minutes or 6 minutes ago, and then it just it kind of settled back down here, and it was following its shorter 21 period EMA. So I got long here up at 34.067, and it then just like spiked up a little bit. Would love to continue to see this, accumulate and drive higher to the 34.10 area. And why do I target 34.10, you may say? Not just because it is where it actually on a default put my stop or my target profit is coincidentally, but because that is roughly where the value area high of the previous regular trading hour session
Mm-hmm.
is. So that's the upper band of that 70 or 68% range. So that where it traded in. So that's the general target. Sometimes I do get weak hands, and because of how illiquid these quiet markets are, and I could get out a few ticks before that. But yeah, looking
There you
good.
go.
I'm gonna move it up to break even now, a slight bit above break even, but I do want to take. Come on, come on! Don't just continue to. Yep, there you go. Continue to do that. Do what you got to do there. Do what you got to do. Don't do that. Don't go down. Just continue to. Come on, buyers. Just get on in. Get
Get
on.
on
Nope.
up.
Don't.
Get
Don't do
on up.
that. We don't want that. We don't want any of that. So sellers, I swear to goodness, if you really do this to me and make me get back into this position because I get stopped out for like a 99-cent big gulp, uh, you're just killing me right now.
Uh, 99
Oh my
cents.
god! All right, looks like I'm gonna have to get back in here at some point. Son of a nutcracker, dude! Goodness gracious! Top dog. Oh, he's up. He's up in the chat
What's going
here.
on?
Sup, dude? Nothing much, man. Aside from being up like $60 on that small little gold trade, and then being stopped out for break even. So that's unfortunate. But
Stephen
aside from
Curry, eh? How about that?
that,
Stephen Curry. I never been told that.
that's a first.
Yeah.
Uh,
I'm about 4 inches taller than him. I think he's 6 foot or 6'1". I'm 6'4",
no,
so yeah, definitely got a
no
couple
way,
inches on.
really.
Yeah, yeah. They stack
Okay.
it pretty high these days. uh,
Yeah,
the shit.
6'4", man. You're
It's
you're a monster, dude. That's
yeah,
That's pretty. You've got some height to you. I wasn't expecting. I don't know why. I was thinking you'd be like closer to like 6 foot or something in my head. Just seeing you through
yeah.
the screen, I'm thinking, But you play any basketball or anything at any point in your day, or no? Little power
I mean,
forward action or something.
I did in middle school, but my sport was always baseball growing up. Baseball and softball after graduating high school. Get
Love
into the
that, man.
softball leagues, tore up the softball leagues, hit a lot of home runs. It was a lot of fun. But yeah, I kind
You
of miss
know,
it actually. I really want to get back in. I'll probably get back in this next summer. Get back into some softball leagues.
I hope you do, man. Like, cause I baseball is an underrated sport. I think, generally speaking. Uh,
Yeah.
I I think people will talk to me about like I just by the way I got into 6 micros there, and again after being stopped out, and I just got out of three. I just got out of half my position on that little like $1 spike up there, and Looking to
Yeah.
continue the move. Then moving my other three up to break even here on a hope that we get back up to that 634.10 area. So
So
come
when
on,
you place
push,
your
push, push.
trade, when you place your trades, do you have it set at like a 2-to-1 risk reward automatically or something? Kind of look like it.
Ding, ding, ding. You got it.
Yeah.
You got it. That is it. It was. I had to change it a little bit because like I started trading larger position size, so I needed to. What was it? I started trading a different product, and like the dollar amount didn't make sense versus the position size that I was trading, so I had to adjust the positions. I'm about to get stopped out again here. I swear. Um, this is what happens when you trail tightly, though. You're going to get stopped out,
Yeah.
and you have to be able to get back in quickly if so. So, but yeah.
Yeah.
So basically, based on the position size, like I had it like as a like downside stop loss at like $30 for a target of 60. And okay, if you're trading 4 micros on gold, $20 or $30 to the downside is like 5 ticks or what, I don't even know. It's like nothing. It's like 10 ticks or something. So I needed to up that, and I don't know if it's exactly 2-to-1 now, but it's something like that. That was
Yeah.
the initial setting, though.
Uh,
Come on.
so I live in Kansas City, top dog. So Kansas City Royals, baby. That's my team. Win or lose, horrible or great, that's my team. Um, yeah, I used to watch the Cubs and the Braves growing up, just because we only had like two channels growing up that had baseball. So we had WGN and TBS, right? You probably know those channels, Paul. But
Mm-hmm.
that was uh, that was where we found all the baseball. So Cubs and Braves. I didn't care for the Braves as much, but I did like the Cubs since they were one of the worst, the underdogs, right? But obviously, growing up here in Kansas, yeah, it's all about the Royals here. All
Yeah.
right. Um.
Yep.
Well, so if you like, Paul, while you're looking at your trade there, I can kind of take a look at the COT report and just kind of read it off to the side here.
Yeah, I actually just got stopped out again. So I'm up. I mean, I'm
Oh,
only up
okay.
20. I'm up $25 on these last two trades. Glad I took out a few contracts of the 6 that I got long again in to
Yeah.
get myself a little something. But yeah, I'll let you know if I get in anything. We can switch to your screen, and I'll update the back if I get into anything. So
Okay. Yeah, just reading it off on my other screen over here. So yeah, I already mentioned gold. That was the highest increase they had on net change percentage, and it really wasn't that much overall. This past Friday, when the report came out, and as always, ladies and gentlemen, this report's about 3 days old at that point. The report is current as of last Tuesday to the prior Tuesday. I wish they would release it more up to date and accurate, but that's just the way it is, right? It's not the end all be all, but it is a very good indicator of what obviously the banks are doing, of late. So gold is up 1.13%. The S&P is up 1%, and then the Canada dollar is up 0.96%, 0.96. So that's an increase in uh, their long percentage on the futures market for those underlying assets. And that's it. That's the only things they increased. They increased the South African rand as well, 2.69%, but that's not really a currency I trade. But yeah, I mean, as far as the actionable assets increasing longs, it was just the three. That was it. Everything else was net shorted, had added net shorts to it. So leading the way or trailing the way, however you want to look at that on the short side bias, was the Nikkei at -9%. And then you
jeez.
had currencies, you had the British pound at -6.9%, US dollar -5.3%, and then the New Zealand dollar -5.25%. So those were the most heavily shorted currencies last week. And then just looking at the indices, like I said, Nikkei was -9, but you also had the Dow Jones was -2.17%. Um, NASDAQ was minus 0.79%, so very little on that one. And then you had, like I said, the S&P at 1% gain, and then the Russell was minus 2%. So basically, they sold 3 of 4 U.S. indices, but they did show the love to the gold. Like I said, the gold,
Mm-hmm.
Canada dollar, and yeah, that was it. So they
Yeah.
just did a lot of selling last week. So I mean, the way I see it is they added gold, they sold off on 3 of the 4 indices. Are they trying to pick a top on some of these indices? That's just one of the questions that just jumped into my head. I mean, I don't know what you think about that, Paul, but it definitely doesn't look positive overall. So as far as that goes, but the trends are still up, though. That's the thing with the U.S. indices. I mean, everything is, it's still up there at the all time highs. I mean, what did we
That is
even
true.
break the all time high on the Nasdaq today? Looks like we might have got close.
Um, I think we got close, but
Yeah,
that's a good question, actually.
yeah,
Um,
get close, but yeah,
yeah,
it's
it was
it's
close.
you guys know I'm all about the fundamentals. I love the fundamentals and the sentiment, but again, you can't argue with what's in front of you on the charts, right? Everything's just up. So until we
Yeah,
start to get any type of lower highs, lower lows, a succession of those, yeah, I got no interest in shorting any of these indices. In fact, you'll probably never see me shorting an index just because of the
yeah.
relative. They're always going up. I mean, even when we had that pullback because of Liberation Day, right? The tariffs, I still had no interest. I was
Mhm.
looking for buys back then, and that
Uh,
downtrend lasted
yeah.
what, 2 weeks, something like that, week and a half.
Right.
So
I do. I will say really quickly on the just before we get off the Dow Jones, because you were mentioning the Dow Jones earlier, and Alade was looking for a very quick breakdown, and you talked about it as well. But and I agree for the most part. Like literally everything is an uptrend, so it is tough to fight the general uptrend. Like even like if I look at the 4 hour chart, for example, if I look at the last month of data, you could make an argument that like the Dow is more bearish relatively speaking than the other
yeah, for
two.
sure, true that.
But and if from like and it also from like a trending perspective, like I do have all of my EMAs, my shorter term EMAs crossing over. They've all crossed over each other on like the 4 hour chart and
Mhm.
look more bearish. But then again, it's always like when in doubt. You always hear the when in doubt, zoom out, and you
Yeah,
zoom out further than that month, and you realize, oh, just like Coach Tiger said, we are in an uptrend still. Like
yeah,
we're technically making higher highs and higher lows. This and you know what's funny is if you I can't really show it unless if we just maybe I'll just have them share my screen really quickly because there
sure.
is something I very specific I do want to show on this 4 hour chart. So I'll have them show. I'll have this switched over to
Yeah,
me
absolutely,
real quick. Um,
absolutely. Yeah,
and then we'll go.
I'm always on the daily and the weekly. I mean, that's what the banks are typically looking at, right? So
Yeah,
you're exactly right. When in doubt, zoom out, because I'm always
yeah.
getting asked that question. Well, this isn't an uptrend or this isn't a downtrend, and then I look, I'm like, no, no,
Are you
you got to
sure?
zoom out. I mean, obviously, if you're looking at it intraday, it's a different story. But
Yeah, yeah,
um,
yeah. But this is what I'm looking at here is like, can you see the bars and whatever? No, because I'm super zoomed out. It's a 4 hour time frame. But to understand the general flow in which we're going in here. So let me pull out this circle guy here. All right. So we bottom we have this like just jackknife down, and then we bottom here. We do this little double bottom on the 4 hour. We come up, we try to go back downwards. It gets bought up immediately, and then we make this high up here, this higher high, and then we make a higher low here. Then you see all of a sudden that we kind of make like a little bit of a double top here compared to this previous top with the beginning of or middle of June from the middle of May. And then we come back down. And some people would say, oh man, look at this. Top tier, or we revisited a level that had been basically visited three previous times. I don't know, maybe that's going to be resistance and that's why it's coming back down. And, we're going to see a further down move like this. And then it immediately gets bought up before it even gets back to test this area where it made a previous low, a wick low here. And it just rockets up. And now we're doing something very similar where we're up here, or we got up to here, we come back down, we kind of double top again, and we make a little bit of a leg lower. Now, I'm not going to be the one that's necessarily making a bet that this is, since this price action is being held here. I can zoom in now. Price action is now being, like I was saying, the EMAs have all started crossing over each other to the downside. Yes,
Yeah.
it feels like it's more bearish. Could we see all these levels, these EMAs be respected and we see a turn to the downside? Yes, but we could also see something similar to what we just saw before, where we kind of double top, and then before we can even really actually make that downturn, it just spikes up. It looks more bearish here, definitely, but you know, I just can't find myself to be like, oh, I'm definitely getting in this short, because guess what happened over here? All those EMAs crossed again. All those
Yeah.
EMAs crossed over each other, and you would have thought, okay, it's respecting the 50 period. Well, maybe I just get short and ride the wave down. Nope. Then it just absolutely got smashed through, and then we consolidated up in the
Hmm.
45,000 range now. So my point being is, if you're going to try and play the EMAs maybe to the bear side, maybe you keep things really tight. You have to have execution that is much better than where we're at the moment. If you're playing like the 4 hour EMAs or anything, you would have had to have been in when it was being like touched, like right here at the 44 350 area, maybe like with your stop with like a 50-point stop above the 44 600 area. So I
Mhm.
wouldn't be entering short now because it looks bearish. I mean, maybe if you get a pop back up to the 50 period EMA, and then you want to short it again for maybe a retest of the micro-ish lows, you could. But anyway, that's my kind of analysis on the Dow. I don't know why I like getting into the Dow so much. I can just start going on. I can just start
Yeah,
talking
well,
about it.
yeah, and
Yeah.
even just looking at the CFD version of it, I mean, I wouldn't like it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world to like short it. Like I'm like on the Dow on the CFD, it's at 44,000 right now. Well, I don't really
Mhm.
see any major support until like the 43,200 level, 43,200 level. So, if somebody wanted to short it down to that level because it isn't, like you said, the 4 hour downtrend, totally understandable. I just would
Yeah.
be
Yeah.
careful once you start getting to those higher time frame, well, in my case, demand zones, demand, support, however you want to look at it, because that's where I'll be waiting to possibly buy and take the other side of it.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
that's
Oh,
where the
and
daily traders are going to be looking. So, yeah, it wouldn't be the worst thing. I mean,
right.
at the end of the day, it's correcting, right? Correcting on that uptrend that we've had since the tariffs kind of shook out back in April 7th. It looks like.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah. And
yeah,
and
wouldn't be the dumbest
really,
idea. Sure.
no, I
Sorry.
completely agree. No, 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 it's
Yeah.
okay. I completely agree. I keep reading. I'm reading the comments in the chat real quick, and I've missed so much conversation that has happened, and but I know Coach Tiger talked about his favorite baseball team. Mine is the Phillies, by the way, because I was born
Bryce
in
Harper.
Philly. Yeah, yeah. I mean, he's got his own. I mean, he's one of those guys where you hate to, yeah, like people hate to, don't like him, but if you have him on your team, you like him, kind of thing. He's
Oh
one of
yeah,
those
yeah.
guys.
I've always liked
Um,
him. Just yeah. It's
Yeah,
fun.
no, I think he's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
He's pretty clutch with the Phillies and whatnot too. So I'm glad that the money we're paying him is paying off relatively. So so much money, dude, so much. But do we mess around with any ICT content? I mean, we've had this discussion a couple of times in the last like week. I don't trade via like ICT methods necessarily or anything, but I mean, I think there are elements of it that like many traders use that, but like I don't know what the backstory of ICT is really. I've never read into it or
Hmm.
anything. I barely even I don't even know the fundamentals of ICT. I know it's like time based and there's like a few laws that it's relatively ruled by and regarding supply and demand and all that stuff. Coach Iris is a thoroughbred ICT trader, but I think she might be the only one of us.
I mean,
Do you know?
if you're talking like liquidity hunts and things like that, then yeah, I mean that's essentially what the master pattern is, which I can touch on here in a minute when we get back over to my charts. But yeah, I don't know the exact definitions of all that either. I mean, all the acronyms and everything, but I believe that has to do with like stop hunting, liquidity hunting, things like that.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean that's a real thing. At the end of the day, the banks, they're the ones that move markets, so they have to fund. They have to have enough volume to fill their trades. They're trading huge orders, so if they place a huge order, they're going to move the market and they're not going to get all their order filled, right? So, they kind of have to manipulate the price a little bit, which is really where master pattern comes in. Master pattern is nothing more than a derivative of accumulation and distribution, the Wyckoff theory. So, you know, they leave clues
Mhm.
on how they move price and how they have to fill their orders. So yeah, I mean, I think it's a real thing. There are people that argue against it. There's people that strongly disagree with it, and they think it's a scam. And there's an opinion on every single trading style out there, good and bad. But the reality is, there are for every one of those bad methods, there's somebody making good money using it. So you can make money a whole bunch of different ways in the market. That's the beautiful thing about it. It's not black and white. There's a big gray area there because for every style that you like, for every whatever behavior characteristic that you have, there's really a trading style to match that. So yeah,
Yeah.
everybody is going to be different according to what makes them tick. I mean, great example is me and Coach Michael. He is on my morning streams with me, and we trade a little bit different time zones, and um, we find different ways of getting to the same thing. So we both use the liquidity hunts and all that, but he just uses more indicator based stuff, and I just use more master pattern type stuff. So it's the same. We have the same idea. It's just we have a different way of getting to it based off of what makes us
Yeah.
tick. So I'm all about supply and demand zones. I'm all about buying undervalue when it comes to contraction points on the master pattern, which is essentially fair value, retail fair value. So buying undervalue, selling if I'm short selling above value. That's how I can see the market. I'm more visual. He's more technical and indicator based on his EMAs that he uses. He uses like a 13 EMA, a 50 EMA, a 200 EMA, and I think an 800 EMA. And then he's got a baseline. He's got all kinds of different stuff for
All right.
his TDI index he uses. It's called a trader dynamic index. It's awesome stuff. And I've even inquired about one of his baseline things because I think it would actually help me out. But just like in discrediting certain zones. So, but yeah, he loves that technical setup, and I personally love the visual of the liquidity side of things. So
Mhm.
yeah, it's a long way of saying, yeah, how dare anybody say that this or that's wrong or bad? There's people making money with all these different trading styles. Otherwise, they wouldn't be in existence, right? So, no, good question. That was a
Yeah.
really good question.
It, that's exactly what I would say is like that there are elements of a lot of these like trading structures that like a lot of like, like an ICT or Wyckoff or whatever, where like you do use pieces of whatever that is, but in your own way and combined with other things. It's you might not follow everything to the T of whatever that
Right.
strategy or structure is, but you use elements of it. And I think that that's you like I think a lot of really good traders, what they're doing is they're just taking pieces of things to make their own big thing, like their own actual trading structure and strategy. They're not
Yeah,
usually
exactly.
following something like, oh, this person trades this way, I need to follow everything to a T of exactly how they would do it, whatever. It's like,
Hmm.
no, I just take this and also Top Dog mentioned or no, Laid mentioned fib retrace. Like, do we do fib retracements? And I don't really mess around with fib retracements, but a lot of our coaches do actually, and it's not that I don't because I don't want to. It's more so just like it. I don't feel like I have to, but I have played around with it a little bit ever since Coach Tony was kind of going through the motions with me on explaining his like thought process with fibs and stuff. And I don't think it hurts, especially for like higher time frame stuff, to see how big some of these moves are in
Hmm.
relation to like certain time periods and whatnot. So um, but yeah, and before I forget, I do want to announce that we are doing a giveaway during this session tonight. So if you haven't won a challenge account with us in any of these live sessions, we are giving one away tonight. It's the Forex challenge account, 50K Forex challenge account. So pretty big deal, big challenge account.
Yeah.
But there are a few things that you need to do. We need you to subscribe to both the Ola Prime TV and Ola Prime Global channels. Need you to comment on the live session. Would love if you could like the video too, or the live stream. It would help out a lot. We would really appreciate it. And then lastly, please make sure that your email address is in your YouTube bio. So you got to go up into your channel and you need to click on your channel, click the customize channel button, scroll down to the description area, throw your email in there. Please throw your email in there and then save, and then you'll be good to go. You'll be entered into the giveaway, and we'll announce it later in the stream. So you just stay tuned. We'll do it live here, and we're excited. So if you haven't won, you are eligible, my friends.
Yeah.
And with that being
Good luck.
said, we also have a poll going right now. In a quiet market, you're more likely to wait for a breakout, scalp small moves, trade news only, sit out completely. For me, I'm scalping smaller moves usually or waiting for a breakout. But which one do I do more? I feel like I wait for breakouts more, to be quite honest. Not even. I'm
Yeah.
not even looking for a breakout. I'm more so looking for an area where price will then start to move in my favor relatively quickly. Like what just
Hmm.
literally just happened. I just got into a trade. I got long the ES right at the value area low level of 6,400 for a bounce, because if you look here, this blue line, um, okay, I have markers too. VAL, value area low. In the overnight session, we have been trending upwards here. We came back. This what the value area low was resistance. You can see two times here. Now, let me get
Yeah.
my handy dandy tool out again. Here we go. Resistance at value area low of previous trading session. Resistance again right here. Wicked out multiple times. Settled above value the VWAP, volume weighted average price, broke above value area low, went into the point of control of 2 sessions ago slash this past session as well. It basically was point of control. Came back down to find support at value area low. I got long, and then we just broke out above. We're likely a lot of people would do is get long here for the breakout through this high, of course, and into like maybe a larger part of the major point of the distribution, the volume profile distribution, maybe closer to 6412 or something like that. But in these quiet markets, I really do like taking like small, quick moves. I like taking profit in small, quick moves when I can. Um, yeah, it's just kind of my style. I'm
Yeah.
trying to amp up my size as well so that those moves have a little bit more P&L meaning. Like I only did
Yeah.
3 micros there. I'm trying to do 6 or 9 micros. um, I just literally got long the 3 and then the move happened within like a minute and I didn't even have the choice to add a few more.
Yeah.
So but yeah, so I just took another $24. So I made $24 on gold, $24 on ES, and I'll continue to look for some more opportunities here. But yeah,
Yeah.
so
Yeah, well, I mean, prior to starting quiet markets, yeah, I was just setting out completely. But yeah, I've been starting to get into some smaller ones too. Same thing. I'm doing the exact same thing, Coach Paul. I'm keeping my risk low, just kind of easing into these late markets like this or quiet markets. But yeah, I mean, I've started getting down because I mean, I'm typically obviously a higher time frame trader, right? So I probably have the highest
sure,
time frame of any coach on here. I think most everybody does the intraday and the smaller time frames. But yeah, I'm more the 4 hour, maybe 1 hour at the lowest. But yeah, I've been getting back into some 15-minute trades, some 5 minute trades of late. And I've had about 50% on it, so it's been okay. But same
okay,
thing, I'm just kind of starting with real low risk, um, just because I haven't up until it had been quite honestly a few years since I've been down in the smaller time frames. So I'm just kind of shaking the rust off myself, if you will. But because I just don't have that many examples on a 4 hour time frame, I might get one good trade a week, right? Because of the time
yeah,
frame I'm on. So I'm trying for the sake of material and content on my shows,
Mhm.
right, to come down to the smaller time frames and play around with everybody else.
Yeah,
But yeah,
no, no, I get it. I mean, it is kind of hard to transition. And by kind of hard, I mean pretty difficult if you've been out of the game for a while, going from smaller time frame to longer, or vice versa. For me, like
mhm.
the idea of me going switching to a longer time frame, sounds rough. That sounds very. If somebody was like, "Hey, by the way, you got to switch up your trading style.
Yeah.
You got to start looking at daily moves," I'd be like, "Oh my gosh, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Oh my,
Well,
I don't want
it was. Yeah, I agree. No, it was a little weird for me too. I mean, the whole reason I went from because I started out on the 5 minute, the 15 minute, as far as my demand zones and supply zones. A decade ago. That's how I started. But I went back into work and didn't have the funding at the time. That was really before the
to."
prop firm idea came out. So I just quite honestly didn't have the capital to open up an account. So did a lot of demo trading at that point. I did have one small account, but the challenge was I had regular jobs, so I couldn't just sit and scalp or intraday trade. Work in warehouse
Right.
work at that time, right? Um, so yeah, I ended up going up to the higher time frames, and um, it was a little tough. It was a little tough, but I got used to it. Now, just coming back to the smaller time frames is kind of the same thing. Which what I do with supply and demand with master pattern, it's good on all the time frames. So that's not the challenge. It's just and it's not even a challenge really. It's just getting back the comfort level of just coming down to the quicker time frames, making the quicker decisions.
Yeah.
That's really all it amounts to. But I'm doing all
Mhm.
right. This old
Yeah.
dog still got some tricks.
uh,
And it is a lot more
Gosh.
fun, a lot more exciting, a little more action. So I enjoy it again.
Yeah, yeah, for
Really.
sure. We do got some people joining. We got Craze. Good to see you in the chat. No sleep narrator. Great to see you. Rude girl. Hey, how's it going?
Howdy, howdy.
Good to see everybody. Everybody. A bunch. No sleep was saying you missed the response to the Steph Curry comparison. Yeah, Tiger was saying that He is actually Steph Curry's long lost brother.
That's
Now,
hilarious.
actually, to be quite honest, I I have to disagree. I don't see the I don't see the resemblance. Oh, you know what? Oh, wow! I
No.
just literally the way that you just looked at the camera completely 180'd my thought there. I literally was like, I don't see that, and then I saw you, and I was like, wow, oh my god! For a second, you actually did look a little bit like him. So maybe I did.
I'll take that as a
Maybe I do
compliment.
agree. Oh yeah, man, for sure.
Hey,
That's
look, I used to shoot a lot of hoops. I used to do it all the time. I got pretty good at 3-point shooting, but obviously nothing anywhere close to obviously Steph Curry. But that used to be what I loved to do, shooting hoops and
yeah, man.
rebounding all
I
over people in school, all that. That's funny.
that's exactly that's the that doesn't get as much love as it needs to get. Being in the paint, getting those rebounds, putting it back up there for 2 points.
I gotta say,
Lay-
yeah, I gotta say, I cannot stand watching NBA basketball these days because all they do is jack up threes and then they brick them all and then they wonder why they lose. Like watching the Boston Celtics is the worst thing ever. That's all they do. Can't stand it. Like I miss the
yeah,
days of like you said, down low, rebounding, throwing some elbows, Pistons of the late '80s, early '90s, like that type of knockdown, drag out fight. That's what I like. That's what I did. So, just
dude,
my hot
laying
take.
the law. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, no, yeah.
yeah,
Laying the law down in the blocks, man. It's funny because like I am literally 5'10". I have no business being down in the paint, but I love it so much that
yeah,
I had a decent vert in college. I was relatively, and by relatively I mean a lot more physically capable than I am nowadays. But man, did I love getting up for the rebounds, dude. There was nothing better than a 5'10" guy out rebounding like a 6'2" dude. Nothing better than
yeah.
that feeling
Okay.
of just ripping the ball away from a 6'2" guy up at the
Yeah.
boards, man. I lived for that stuff. I was not much of a 3-point shooter at all. I shot, if anything, I shot deep twos to like free throw esque kind of twos.
Yeah.
I was more of that kind of shooter, but could lay
Nice.
up with both hands, etc. But so you couldn't catch me off guard. It was so funny seeing dudes like being able to point out guys that are like can only go with a layup with their right hand, and you figure it out after like the first quarter. You're like, this guy doesn't have a left hand, and you just make sure to gang up on him so that like if he's got the ball, he has to be on the left side if he's going to drive for a layup. And dude, good times, man.
That's funny.
Good times.
That's funny. Um. So just looking at
Top dog.
my updated top setups here, Coach Paul. Just refreshing it real quick. So I have Aussie. So I have two bearish currencies. I have Aussie dollar, Japanese yen. I have U.S. dollar, Japanese yen. Both of those are the number one and number two short sell oppos that I have. And then the only other one on the bearish side is the FTSE, the UK 100. And then,
Mm,
yeah, like I said, gold is my number one bullish setup. NASDAQ is still up there. Euro dollar, Euro Aussie. So gold and silver, actually. Gold, silver, Nikkei, CAD Swiss. That's it. This is actually
okay.
a pretty thin list for me. So if you like, I can go over some of my charts real quick, unless you're in a
Yep.
trade at
Yep.
the moment. Okay.
No. No. I might get long something here in a minute, but you go. You do what you got to do.
Right on. Yeah, so just starting with gold, like you kind of already mentioned, I'm basically waiting on a 4 hour time frame for this demand zone down here. Oh, and to answer the question that I can't remember who asked it, apologize about the fibs. I don't really use it as much of a decision making tool. I just like to use it to see where the retail traders are looking. Right. So
Mm-hmm.
it's just kind of nice to know where liquidity's hiding. Right. Now
Right.
I will use it on occasion if it's in like, if I got a zone right on it. like a demand zone or a supply zone. But what I use more than anything on the fibs is actually the fib retracement tool. If I'm looking at like a higher time frame, like for me, looking for my demand zones on a 4-hour time frame, I'm obviously looking at the trend, right, on a daily, and then on the weekly, which this ain't going to be a good example. Actually, even though I don't trade it, the dollar South African rand is a perfect example right now, just in how I use the fib retracement tool. So, like if I'm looking on a 4-hour time frame, again, this is where I find my zones. Trend on a daily, which we have higher highs, higher lows, but I use the fib retracement tool to find where am I on the curve. This is something I touched on Thursday, I believe Thursday, right? So on my Thursday live stream, I can't remember if I mentioned this to you guys on Friday. Well, no, we didn't have a Friday show. Never mind. So Thursday morning, I did a little bit of explanation right after our middle of the stream break on the curve, on curve analysis. So what does that mean? Well, it just very simply means if I go to the recent swing low on my highest time frame, which is the weekly for me, so I do weekly, daily, 4-hour. This is the same thing as if you maybe you trade on a 15-minute time frame. You find your trend on a 1-hour. You look for your curve on a 4-hour. What does that mean? Well, it just simply means go to your most recent swing low and your most recent swing high, put the fib retracement tool up there, and it marks out the 33% level for you, and it marks out the 66% level. So essentially all this is saying is if I'm in the bottom 33% like I am right now, and again, I'm just using South African rand as an example because it's a perfect example. I only have permission to buy. I'm basically buying at the lower end of the overall, swing low, swing high. If I'm in the top part of it, then I have permission to sell. If I'm in the middle, I'm diddling in the middle, right? That's where people tend to get chopped to pieces, like this right here, right? That I talked about the master pattern earlier. Well, that's what that box is right there. This box that colors itself. It's basically coloring itself where there's contractions in price, meaning it just goes sideways, right? So it'll do that on any time frame. But if I'm looking on a weekly, well, that's where people are getting chopped up. Otherwise, they wouldn't have put a contraction box there. So if I were trading this currency pair, then I only have permission to buy because I'm on the lower end of the curve. Again, the swing low to the swing high point. So it's just an easy way, especially for beginner traders, it's an easy way to see if you're buying under value or you're buying over value, right? Or you're diddling in the middle. So that's really where you get the greatest probability setups for actually tapping into a longer term trend. Now, again, this is on a weekly. If you're if you trade off a 5-minute time frame, well, then you can just you can look at your trend on a 30-minute, right? So you make sure you're in an uptrend if you're buying, you're in a downtrend if you're selling, and then if you want to see where you're at on the curve, well, then just go to a 2-hour or go to a 4-hour, right? Here we go. Just using again this as an example, right? We're still low on the curve. Again, we're using a 4-hour time frame. You can even use a 2-hour. I mean, it's really kind of the rule of 4 to 6, right? Whatever your buy entry zone or time frame is, multiply that by 4 to 6 to find out what your trend is. So 5 times what, my math ain't the greatest. 5 times 6 is 30, right? 30-minute time frame. That way you can find your trend. 30 times 4 would be a 2-hour, right? Or a 4-hour, however you want to do that. But yeah, again, you can use it on any time frame. That's curve analysis because it just helps you to know where you're at on the overall curve. Swing low to swing high. Again, when you're in the middle, you're getting chopped to pieces. You're diddling in the middle. You'll see a lot of contraction points. It's just good to buy at the lower end and sell at the higher end if you're short selling. So hopefully that helps somebody out. It's just a quick and easy way to do it. It doesn't have to be anything any more complicated than that. Um,
Yep. Yep.
so yeah, hopefully that helps somebody. But anyway, I explained this in depth on the Thursday morning Forex Fire stream. If you'll just go to like the 2 hour and 15-minute mark, I believe it is. It's right after our 15-minute break. But I spend about 15, 20 minutes on that a little more in depth, just in case anybody wants to check that out. So,
Yeah.
Bitcoin.
Yep.
Alade says Bitcoin. Let's take a look at Bitcoin.
It had a pretty crazy day
Yep.
today. I will say there is a. I think it. Yeah. I mean it. Jeez Louise, man. The futures gapped up like over $1,500 a coin. It gapped up.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Goodness, traded as high as
Nope.
123,000 essentially, and now it's back down to 119. I mean, I'll tell you what, if you can catch some of these moves on Bitcoin in the futures and like even the micro futures,
Mm-hmm.
geez, is there some a lot of there's a lot of opportunity, but it is so it's rough. It's tough. The spreads are terrible in futures, not like, I don't know about, trading the cash and everything.
Mm-hmm.
But if you have a very large risk tolerance in terms of like your spready like spread, um, the nature of like spreads that you trade on products, I there is so much money that you can make. It's just you have to be okay and tolerant with the wackiness of what Bitcoin futures are. So sorry,
Yeah.
just kind of went off a little bit there, but yeah, if
No, that's
you
good
got the
stuff.
chart up, sweet.
Yeah, so Bitcoin, I mean, I colored this big zone right here in a gray box a while back. Just more of a retail chop zone. That's why I had the caution no loitering sign. That tells me personally a lot A to stay the heck out of that zone. Because I only want to buy undervalue and sell overvalue, right? So the best I could come up with on Bitcoin was this 720-minute chart, which is a 12-hour. We have this demand zone right here. If I just take my drawings away for a second, right? A this is the last red candle down before this big spike up. This would be way back on, well, July 9th. I guess it wasn't too long ago, but really interesting point in time right there because we had a rally base rally. So we had 12 hours of just sideways price action. That's 12 hours of contraction, right? So that is where I wrap a demand zone rectangle around, and then I just pull it forward. Now you see, price actually got close to it, but and then it turned around and went up. Why did it do that? Well, because it hit this former resistance point way back here. So anytime I see a major swing high, a major swing low in the past, I like to just remember those points if and when price returns. Sure enough, you can see, I mean, it touched it perfectly and just went off to the races. I was hoping because I had an alert set at the proximal line of that demand zone, and then I even observed a smaller time frame demand within that 12-hour demand, which basically gives me confluence. I think that was a 2 hour actually. Yeah. So here's that 12-hour, the overall 12-hour, but then I had this red candle here on a 2 hour time frame. Why did I like that specific candle? Well, look at the volume spread analysis below. That's where the volume started to really pick up, especially on its way out of that zone. So that's a strong bullish signal right there. All this price action up top here, but the effort matched the result, right? As the candles got bigger and the small pullbacks were small with the high volume. I mean, that's where effort is match and result. That's Wyckoff Theory 101. If anybody wants to go look that up, just type in effort versus result. Wyckoff Theory. You can find it on anywhere. I mean, YouTube. You can even find it on YouTube. That's a pretty simple
Yeah.
SMC concept, ICT, that somebody was asking about earlier. I think that's part of it. Not really a whole lot of. I mean, it just explains. It explains when you see a big move. It explains if you have volume growing at the same time as that big move is happening, that's effort, match, and result. If you have a big move but volume is decreasing, that's a fake. That's a fake out. That's a false move. So it's likely going to retrace. So that's just a very generic explanation of that, but I definitely encourage you to go check that out. But anyway, yeah. Sorry. Just to get back to this, that's what I was seeing was this 2 hour demand within this 12 hour demand. So was really hoping to get a wick down into that. We didn't. It actually respected that resistance point more, and it's off to the races. So look, that 12 hour, that 2 hour demand zone, that's still active. I mean, it got close to touching it, but it didn't touch it. So if I can get a pullback under this retail area here, yeah, just give me a pullback down to that zone. I'm off to the races. But anywhere up here, for me personally, the way I like to trade, when I'm looking at the master pattern, when I'm looking at supply and demand, that's retail chop zone right there for me. I don't like to play around where the retail traders are playing.
Yeah.
Right.
And, let me quickly, I really do want to touch on what
Yeah.
you were talking about with effort matching result. And I've made this relative example. I've said this relative example before. When you think about it, like me and Coach Daryl, for example, we talk about auction theory a lot and market
Mm-hmm.
profile matching up with auction theory, and and people will be like, what are you talking about with auction theory? And it's just using the word theory is just a fancy way of call it describing the fundamentals of what an auction entails and behaviors of auction practices. But essentially, if when it comes to effort matching the result, if you thought about it in terms of an auction, genuinely you go to an auction house and let's say you are auctioning that this auction house auctions off um, machinery. Let's just say farm machinery or something. That's what this auction is all about. And you've got 5 farmers that are big time buyers of farm machinery there, and they're auctioning against each other for a lot of this equipment. And we'll just say all the equipment is the same item. It's a certain type of tractor, and they all need this type of tractor, and they need a certain amount of them. And the auction process starts off, let's say, for $20,000 a tractor, and all 5 of them are interested, and every single one of them bids it up 20 to 21 to 22 to 23 to 24, 25,000. All of a sudden, you get up to 30,000 easily. All 5 of them are interested. All of a sudden, now you're getting closer to 33,000. One of the farmers has dropped off. You get up to 35,000. Another farmer has dropped off. 2 more get up to 40,000, and another farmer has dropped off. Now you only have 2 of those 5 farmers interested at this price, and they're both looking at each other, probably okay, how much value is there for you at this price based on how much money you're making? Let's say we all have the same book, relative book of revenue or business that we do with these tractors, and we all need the same amount of tractors. And you're basically, what's happening is you're seeing less people are interested for essentially now lesser amounts of tractors at this price range, because the other 3 farmers aren't going to buy at this price range. So they obviously don't need the tractors as badly at this price area. And then what eventually happens is that 4th farmer drops out, and then the 5th farmer buys at the top. And then the auction, and let's say he buys whatever his supply is, and then the auctioneer keeps auctioning off more tractors. But guess what? He starts it at the price at which the 5th farmer bought, and none of the others are willing to buy there. They're like, I can't make money, or let's say I can't make money if the tractor's up at that price. So then the auctioneer starts going from 40 down to 38. See if he can attract a bid. 36. No bids. 34. Okay, 2 of the farmers just came in to make a bid. And that's kind of the thought of the effort matching the result is how many people are continuing to bid everything up at the same time together. Like how much of the volume of each person are we really like allowing the market to be bid up with? And
Mhm.
if you look at it from more of like a just a crude standpoint of like genuine physical auctioneers with physical products in person with physical bidders, it's a lot more simple to wrap your brain around. And you just have to
Yeah.
translate that into volume on your chart, and the product being gold, S&P 500, Nasdaq, soybeans. I don't care what product you
Yeah.
trade. You just have to start looking at it from that perspective and gaining an understand of what value is in the context of the people, the bidders in the market, whether it's a long-term bids or offers, so bidders or sellers, long-term people or short-term people. Some days there are days where price action is short-term bidding and offering. There are other days where it becomes evident on volume that there is longer-term participants bidding and offering. That takes a lot of skill and time and experience, and I'm still building up the experience of being able to identify days like where you're trying to understand what types of time participants are even joining in the auction process of the S&P 500 or the Nasdaq or et cetera. So anyway, that is my little tale of the auction process,
Yeah.
and farmers in relation to using my crude example of farming machinery in the auction process to relate to something like the S&P 500 or whatever. But I
No,
think
that's
it is
perfect.
important.
That's very important. I mean, just even the word, even listening to you and Daryl talk about that auction theory. I mean, seeing because he's on this show with me on Wednesday nights, and yeah, he kind of goes through that a little in depth, talking about his low profile nodes and yeah, you're really good about the POC and such. So like that's even piqued my interest. I mean, just so I can see how you guys are seeing it on the futures market with the volume profile. I mean, I think it's just fascinating. Um, yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, it's
yeah,
essentially a very similar way of it's same. I mean, same thing, effort versus result. I mean, at the end of the day, that's all it is. Um, but no, it's a
yeah,
big thing. I mean, volume. No matter how you look at it, whether you look at it like me through volume spread analysis candles, or like they do through volume profile, it's a powerful thing. It tells you if the move is fake or false.
yeah,
That's, I guess,
yeah.
probably the most elementary way of explaining it, right? Was that a real move or
Exactly.
was it a fake move and it's coming back? So really, really
Yeah, yeah.
fascinating stuff.
You can look at
Fascinating
that as a
stuff.
topping, a topping of the market or a bottoming of the market where essentially just things dry up. And what you would say in market profile stuff is like value is not to be found on these outer edges. The volume dries up and it gets lesser and lesser as we get closer to the top of whatever that range is or bottom. And then as soon as it dries up fully, it just swiftly comes back down into whatever that area of value is where more people are willing to participate in the bidding and offering process. It is
Yeah.
people want to complicate it, but it is genuinely that simple. It is
That,
that simple, but it is difficult to execute because your brain has a hard time understanding value when things are moving in matters of seconds. It's the truth, and and nobody's blaming anybody for not being able to read things perfectly or understand where value is on a second to second basis. It's tough. It requires a lot of time in the markets, a lot of experience, and the ability to train your brain. And that's, I mean, I'm no stranger to continuing to need to train my brain to accept areas of value and not be too biased. To have a bias based on certain structure, but then if something changes, to be able to switch that bias. And NLA says in the comments, does
Oh,
I'm going to assume you mean psychological levels really matter? Um, you know, I think so. Yes, I do believe that psychological levels matter. How much? It depends. There are times where there are probably psychological levels that matter more than others. For example, if you were to look at here, let me see if I can't pull up a easy example here. Uh,
do you want to chart it?
like, no, it's fine. I'm just making sure that I'm getting my relative understanding of like a good example of a psychological level right here. So, like for example, in gold, you could look at like the $3,000 level. A lot of people thought of that as a
Mhm.
psychological level, and gold rallied up to 2,960 before correcting, and then eventually, over about a month and a half's time, rebounding to get up to that 3,000 level. Everybody was talking about that $3,000 level. Everyone and their mother, I
Mhm.
remember, was talking about that $3,000 level on CNBC, retail
Mhm.
people, etc. We finally get to that level. We struggle around it for like 2 days, 3 days, break through it, come back to it as support, break back up again, come back to it as support two times before rebounding off of it. So you spent about a month of time above and below it as support and resistance, actually, before making the next leg higher, because there wasn't any reason. We had never traded at $3,000 before, but the idea of $3,000, that was a psychological level, a very important one. A lot of people talk about round numbers, hundreds, 50s, etc., for different products.
Mhm.
I think it does all matter, but some are a little bit more sticky, I think, than others. Is the point I'm getting at. So I know Coach
Yeah.
Tiger has something to say about that for sure.
Um, I would think that it's a lot more of a big deal on the smaller time frames, like what you guys are playing around in,
Yes.
because that yeah, huge. But like for me on a 4 hour time frame, it's really not that big a deal. I mean, I still am aware of them, because at the end of the day, I know there's going to be a lot of liquidity built up just on the north side and on the south side, right?
Right.
So long as I have a zone that's wrapped all around it, it's not really that big of a deal. But if it's right on the edge of like if I've got this demand zone, you know, if I got a demand zone here, like I do, actually, yeah, I guess it is that a 4 hour I put up here? Yeah. So just, yeah, the demand zone, literally around the 3,000 mark. I mean, if I'm looking at just the green, let me get rid of that. Sorry, let me get rid of that one. So if I'm looking at this zone on a 4 hour time frame where I initially had this demand zone drawn up, yeah, perfect example. So like, yeah, so here's a 4 hour demand zone, and it's just under the 3,000 level. It's 29.92,
Mm.
right, from the proximal line to the distal line of that demand zone. Well, obviously, I know there's going to be liquidity built up on both sides of 3K. So that's actually why I did have that yellow one drawn up. So I basically went to the next red candle down, which actually had a pretty good volume spread analysis bar spike. So I actually put my proximal line at the top of that body and made my zone bigger, knowing that I got that 3,000 psychological level inside. So I just want to basically price to touch my zone ahead of time so I can potentially get into that trade before the
Mm.
psychological number, which is honestly before my 4 hour demand, if that makes sense. So if I just zoom in, yeah, because see, if I just wait for that, if for price to hit my demand zone, well, it may not get there because that 3,000 mark, psychological mark, yeah, it might just bounce straight off, just the same as Bitcoin. I was showing just a little while ago the former resistance point hit. So you just never know. Sometimes the resistance point former resistance, former support, uh, hits and reverses price. Sometimes it's the demand zone itself. Sometimes it's that psychological level itself. You just never know, right?
Yeah.
Ultimately, me personally, I'm the biggest fan of unfilled orders, which means supply and demand zones, right? But also, if I'm trying to buy under under a contraction box, well, heck, just simply coming under value will oftentimes swing it around, right? Like there's a master pattern contraction box there. There's times where it'll just come down and it'll miss the demand zone altogether. It'll just take off. So you just never know. But if a psychological level is in and around a demand zone, then I will sometimes expand that demand zone to incorporate that psychological level. Is it the end all be all? No. But yeah, you just never know, right? People trade
Yeah.
support resistance. People trade supply and demand. People trade psychological levels. People trade trend
Yeah.
lines, right? So
Yeah.
you just never know.
I think actually what you said in the beginning is very important too. Is the smaller time frames, like for example, if you're trading on the ES and you're trading at 6340, 6300 and 6400, you might start seeing a lot of bids appear or a lot of offers appear, and they can be relatively psychological. But so for shorter time frame, that might be
Mm-hmm.
a bigger deal. But 6,500 in the ES might be a bigger deal for a longer term, like a more daily candle
Right.
person. And like I said, like gold,
Exactly.
for example, the $3,000 level was a big level to everybody. Like it was long term, short
Yeah.
term. Depending on how far away or close you were to that level, there was going to either be more or less short term people interested, but long term people were very interested regardless at that $3,000 level.
No, I'm still
So yeah,
interested in
that's
that
a
3,000 if and when it comes
oh
back.
yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah,
If and when it's
I had an alert set up there for quite a while, but then after we had all this sideways chop fest, I lost faith that it was going to come down anytime soon. So I've just kind
yeah,
of changed my mindset now to the bottom ish of the range, right? So
yeah,
I got a couple zones drawn up, but yeah, no, good stuff, great questions. And then we
yeah,
are giving
definitely
away
interesting.
that account. What time today? Actually,
I think closer to
a little
the
bit
end, it's
later,
like 10:30
closer to the
or
end. Okay,
10:45 maybe.
50K.
And then the only other thing, crazy Z. I like saying the two Z's for some reason. I just like
Yeah,
saying
crazy Z.
crazy Z. What's your guys' favorite crypto? You asked this way earlier. Man, I don't mean to disappoint here. I just don't. I haven't dabbled in the crypto market too much. I mean, if I don't really have a favorite. I don't know too much outside of like Bitcoin. And the only other thing I was like, I'm kind of just a bit of a noob per se, but I've looked into XRP a little bit maybe. But I don't know any of the altcoins or anything like that, so I couldn't tell you a favorite. I guess Bitcoin would be just delegated as my favorite, I guess, for now, because I don't really know much else. But maybe when I do, uh, hop on the wagon and start to learn some of these others that aren't just Bitcoin, I'll have an answer for that at some point in the future. But yeah, I don't know about you,
Yeah,
Coach Tiger, if you got any favorites.
yeah. I mean, it's just Bitcoin for me, and quite honestly, the reason I even have it on my radar is because it's tracked on the Edge Finder software I use for my fundamental analysis. If you want to do a deeper dive on cryptocurrencies, then I would highly encourage you to at least check out a show at was it 7:30 to 8:30 a.m. Central Standard Time on our channel because you got Coach Paul Pico. Is that right? I believe that's his last
That's
name.
right.
He's all about the altcoins and the cryptos. So that would be the show to tune into. And they are excellent. He's super excellent. Him and Coach James, they are excellent about explaining explaining their analysis. So entertaining, high energy because it's just an hour show. They have a lot to say. They have very little time to say it, but it's a really cool
Yeah.
show. So, but if nothing else, you can always listen to the playbacks on on the Hola Prime TV channel as well. So just go to the live playlist, right? But yeah, I believe they're 7:30 a.m. Central until 8:30 a.m. Central, and I watch their show about every other day, and it's just awesome. It's
Yeah,
usually the
dude.
last thing I do before I go to sleep. I watch some of your show too, Paul, Coach Paul, but that's
I,
about the
I
time
couldn't
my
believe. I couldn't
tank's
believe
empty.
it when you were on and you were chatting in the chat. I was like, how the heck is this guy even awake still? He's been up for 18 hours. I feel like at this point, like this guy's got to go to sleep. But I cannot emphasize enough alongside you, James and Paul Pico's show. Uh, and it shows there's a good amount of viewers in their session every day. Like usually at
Yeah,
least 30 people are like tuning in even that early, that which is usually what the main show has tuning in, if not more. They usually have a bunch of people tuning in, and like they are just I genuinely enjoy listening to them go through their analysis. James goes through essentially everything. He analyzes just about everything. That guy trades everything, analyzes everything. That dude's just got a big brain. And then Paul Pico with the Bitcoin and all cryptos and altcoins and anything you can name in the crypto space, he knows about it. So
yeah,
thoroughly, yeah, thoroughly enjoy their show for sure.
and they're full of banter. It's just comical to watch. I love it.
Yeah, just great guys. Just
Yeah,
fun guys to even watch and like listen to. Just fun. It's a fun time for sure. So
yeah, got the English accents just going. It's just a good old time. Really good stuff. But super smart.
yeah,
Well, what
yeah,
am I?
definitely.
Oh yeah. So by the way, and definitely like, share, subscribe. Like I say to the channel, like Paul's already said, especially not only for this upcoming uh, winner that we're going to select for a 50K account, but also, yeah, just let your friends, family know we are trying to grow our channel, all the shows. So just give us all a check out. All right. You may not like every one of us. You might love some of us. So that's the idea behind checking out all the shows, that you'll see who you kind of vibe with, right? And obviously what you trade. But yeah, they're mainly, yeah, like Coach Paul said. I mean, Coach James, he's checking out everything. I think Coach Paul, though, he's more on the crypto side, altcoins. It sounds like so.
Yeah,
Yeah, go for everybody, and a time frame for
yeah,
everybody as
definitely
well.
for
Euro
sure.
dollar. This is probably just to go through my list real quick here.
Yeah,
Yeah, euro dollar. So euro dollar, ladies and gentlemen, looking at the 4 hour time frame. This is one of my bullish items I've got. Anything that's a +5 or higher gets a bullish rating. Anything that's -5 or lower gets a bearish rating. And it's just simply adding up all the economic data, the sentiment, the COT report technicals as an aggregate, and it gets a point if it beats expectations. It loses a point if it misses expectations. So you add all that up, just kind of a quick, simple way of telling you what I'm looking at when I say a score of something. So 5 or higher is bullish. So euro dollar and the euro Aussie dollar are my two favorite currency pairs right now at a +6. So just taking a look here at the euro dollar. Yeah, I've got a couple demand zones I'm keeping an eye on right here in this area. Now, I got a one that's a much deeper down here on a smaller time frame, like a 30-minute, I think it is. Yeah, 30-minute time frame down here. But I do have some more immediate ones right here. So if I can get to pull back, and we've actually gotten close, hasn't quite touched it yet. But yeah, that's probably my number one setup at the moment, alongside the euro Aussie dollar, because it's giving me a +6 as well. But yeah, I got a little bit of a 2 hour demand zone here that I'm keeping an eye on. When I talk demand zones, just for everybody in the chat that might be new, it's basically where is price basing and going sideways, contracting, but then leaving screaming out of that zone, right? So you can see we just had a gigantic push to the upside for this particular pair. And the volume spread analysis supported this move. So again, effort met result, right?
Mm-hmm.
Price screamed up with a good boost of volume behind it. So chances are, probabilities, it's not a guarantee. Nothing's a guarantee in trading, right? But it's a high probability that when price returns, it could bounce to the upside. Collect unfilled orders and move to the upside. So anytime you guys hear me say about supply and demand, that's what I'm talking about. And the same thing works in reverse if it's a supply zone up top, right? So anyway, just because I know we got about half an hour left, I guess, but yeah, I just wanted to get through some of these real quick. So that's my top two setups as far as bullish goes. As far as the currency pairs, again,
Mm-hmm.
gold is number one at a +8. But the only other the only other bullish currency pair I have is the Canada dollar, Swiss franc. That's it. So if I just take a quick peek at it, yeah, I was looking just a little bit ago, and I don't think I really like it because we haven't really established an uptrend. I mean, we kind of have if you're looking, looking just on this area here, but it's just not very convincing. You look at it in a bigger, scheme of things, like Coach Paul said, when in doubt, zoom out. Right? That's just nothing more than a big, gigantic downtrend. Right? Really, all
Mm-hmm.
that is. Now again, kind of like what you mentioned earlier with gold, I believe it was. If you look at it in the most recent swing, it's obviously making lower lows. I'm sorry, higher lows and higher highs on a 4-hour time frame. So, if I were to look for a spot here, well, I'd be looking for my curve analysis probably on the daily, which would basically mean I'd be doing this down a high point, low point, high point. All right. So now I have permission to buy in the bottom 33%. And that's the same thing, ladies and gentlemen, as the Hungarian flag, right? So there's the Hungarian flag. Same thing, buying in the green, selling in the red. Now, obviously, on my on my tool up over here, it's green up top, but I couldn't figure out how to make it red up top. So it's just green, but it is what it is. So yeah, buy in the green, sell in the red, don't diddle in the middle, which is the white. So there's that. But anyway, yeah. And again, 4-hour trending up. 1 hour is where I'd be looking for demand zones. And I don't really have one. Look, this one worked perfect. Okay, this little zone here was a zone at one point. That's why it projected my rectangle out. Touched it, bounced up nicely. Well, there's the one below it. So we might keep an eye on that one there.
Mm-hmm.
Oops. Might keep an eye on this zone here. So I must put me a rectangle up, throw up an alert. Canada, Swiss, franc. That's probably the best one I got. And then that's it. That's it. Did you get in a trade, Paul?
No, you reminded me to look at. I need to be looking at the euro US dollar. You mentioned it a little bit earlier, and I
Oh yeah.
said I was going to start looking at it, and I need to look at it now. So I am going to do that now. I am going to look at it, and I mean, it's just like the equity indices. Like, longer term uptrend is there, obviously, but in the shorter term, we have a little bit of a downtrend. It's funny. In the longer term, we have higher highs and higher lows, but in the short term, we have lower highs and lower lows. And we're at that point where we could see a drop down to see a lower low in the shorter term, or we could see a rebound to have a higher low in the longer term trend of things. So it's like a kind of like a diddling in the middle thing. Like, yeah, I don't know how to feel too much about it, unless it was like trading on larger volume and like a clear move was starting to form to either side, I would then get in on. But I did see, I do. We can switch to we can actually switch to my chart. But before we actually go into that, I think we're going to announce the winner now. So
Oh,
I
okay.
shall. I do have the winner in front of me, the name of the winner, and for the winner of the 50K Forex challenge accounts, it
Drum
goes
roll.
to Alade Raji. I think I
Hey,
pronounced that good. Alade,
Alade, Raji,
congrats,
Alade, Alade.
congrats, congrats, my
Congrats.
friend. That's a big time 50K account. I
Yeah,
mean,
that's a 50K
super.
account. We ain't messing around tonight.
Yeah, for real. Super excited for you. Let us know. Let us know what you're going to trade. Let us know
Yeah.
what you think you want to trade, or what you have been thinking about trading, or maybe what you'll stick to in the account. So, congrats. Comment. Let us know if you're still in the chat here, and yeah, we'll send you an email with all the deets on what you'll need to do to get yourself set up. And yeah, good luck, my friend.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Good stuff.
There he is. There he is. He's in the chat.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. God bless. God bless, man. God bless. Um, yeah, and just to finish
Uh,
up, oh, never mind. I forget we're on your chart. Never
oh
mind.
no, it's okay. Um,
Yeah.
I'll quickly go through this real quick. What my thoughts are, just generally speaking.
I was just gonna pick
Um,
on this zone I created.
so since the beginning of July, essentially, we've kind of started making that downtrend happen after a relatively nice uptrend in the shorter term. We made a little bit of a downtrend. We kind of made a little bit of a higher high or a lower high here at the 1.18 area before making a lower low in the 1.145 area. And then we bounced back up. Now we're topping out at 1.17. And the thought is that when I'm looking at general volume during all these moves, it looks relatively like nothing suspicious during this up move. Continued average volume, it seems, in the up move. The down move looks like it might have been on slightly lesser volume, if anything, but nothing major. This next bounce is on pretty decent volume, but it's matched with relatively decent sell volume as well. Now, what I'm afraid of is that this kind of bounce that's occurring here, the volume looks to be getting weaker from what I'm just from a just me looking at the volume bars ever so quickly here. I'm not sure if the volume is matching up necessarily. Um, so this is kind of a tough one for me. I mean, we are. It's funny because if I was at the 1.1, if we rally up off of this 1.165 area back into 1.17, I definitely have no idea what it's going to do, whether it's going to reverse off the 1.17 and make the bigger down move, or whether it's just going to bust through that to try and continue the uptrend. So I'm staying away from this sucker. That's for sure. There's no way I'm trading this.
Yeah,
I don't have
it's a
enough
tough one.
experience with this pair. I don't have too much experience with the pair either. So
That was
I will
that was
likely stay away.
was that Nasdaq? I'm sorry. Is that what that one is?
Uh, this one is Nasdaq here. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's I think that's the one I was looking at too. But yeah, it's like stuck in the middle of the NFP down move and then the slight retracement. Early last week. Is that the one I was thinking of? Nasdaq. Yeah.
Want me to have the 4 hour chart
No,
up?
it was. I'm trying. It was the S&P, I believe. Yeah, you had the NFP move down, the retracement. I don't know. It was just tough to read. Yeah, I was having a tough time with it too. Euro
No
dollar as
sleep.
well.
No sleep narrator
Anyway,
says it's the first time I'm seeing you. I don't even know how that's possible, my friend. I'm on
yeah,
every single I'm on every single regular trading hour session from 9:20 a.m. to 12, and then 2:30 to 4:30 every single day, and then 3 days a week I'm in the overnight. So I don't know if it's just my ugly mug or something that you just were keeping your eyes away from on the screen, but no, but no, I'm just kidding. But how did I get into trading? I was so out of college. I graduated with a finance degree, finance and statistics, and out of college, I went to work for a bank and trade like investment management operations uh, for trading related stuff specifically in investment management operations. So I worked in that for 5 years, and then I transitioned into a commodity trading role where I worked for a commodity company for a few years, trading a specific ag product, the futures, as well as the physical cash product. And then I left that company to trade on my own, actually. And then I've been trading for a few years on my own at this point, and then I've joined up with Ola Prime now, and I'm working with Ola Prime, and happy to do so as well. So it's a great time here and enjoying it a lot. But yeah, that's kind of the trading journey. I kind of got into the trading sphere during college as well. Like when I was 20, I started getting into the markets in general. So you know, sophomore yearish of college, I started you know t- uh, getting my fingers into the dirt of the markets. And
dirt. That's right.
I've always loved the idea of trading. I've always loved just the markets in general, how you know the economy works, how businesses operate. The commodity markets are super interesting to me, and yeah, I just love it all. I could talk about it for till I'm blue in the face. Honestly, I could talk about anything trading, whether it's equity stuff, bond stuff, derivative stuff in general, commodities. I mean, you ask, and I will gladly talk your ear off about it. So,
Yeah, it's
what's the name?
Coach Paul. I don't know about you, but to me, trading and reading a chart is a lot like learning a foreign language. Like, I loved studying Spanish when I lived in Mexico City. Like, I just thought it was the coolest thing ever. And that's really the same thing, the same way I look at a chart, trading charts. It's a foreign language. It's like reading The Matrix. That's what I always liken it to, right? The movie The Matrix and all the stuff coming down the characters. That's it's
Love
just cool
that.
to know something. It's cool to study something and know something that not just everybody fully understands. It's I don't know. I mean, it's
Yeah,
difficult stuff, but it's simple to really. The basics are simple, right? It obviously takes time to get really decent at, really good at, but yeah, it's just like reading the
of
Matrix. It's
course.
pretty cool stuff. The way I look at it.
No, yeah. No, I of course I know. I agree. Every single product you trade is like its own language, and it's got its own
Yeah,
personality of sorts and everything. And Edgar is saying, "What's the name of the platform I'm trading on?" Or I don't know if it's me or Tiger specifically, but me for the futures we trade on Project X, the Project X platform, which the Project X's we've gotten tailored to Ola Prime specifically for our needs here, and it's a super fun platform, and it's got a lot of awesome features, to be quite honest, that we enjoy about it. So yeah, if you get a futures account with Ola Prime, if you get like a one-step challenge, two-step challenge, or a direct funded account, or etc. Um, I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to using this platform. Honestly, I love it, um, especially once you get used to it. Just like anything new, you got to get used to it a little bit. Just got to figure out, all the tools available to you because there's a ton available. So get it all set up, and then you're good to go. But Coach Tiger, which one do you use for Forex again? GUI?
Yeah,
GUI tool?
I set up with the GUI trade account. Let's see, there's Match Trader. What are the three? Match Trader, GUI trades. I'm blanking on the other one. But yeah, it's on the website, holaprime.com. It'll
Yeah.
actually show for everybody watching. You can just simply click on there and click on the different plans, and it'll show you the trading platforms that are available. So here we go. Yeah, Match Trader. We got C Trader. We got DX Trade. So that's what mine is the DX Trade GUI trade, right? But
Hmm.
then there's also it looks like an MT5, an MT4 for the one step, two step. Yeah, specifically for currencies. Yeah, MT4,
Yeah.
MT5, DX Trade, C Trader, Match Trader. So we've got quite a few options. And I'm brand new to all these. And I picked up the GUI trade, which is the DX trade. Very simple, very simple. I mean, it still took a little, like Paul said, takes a little time to figure out, after using other ones for so long, but really didn't take that long. DX trade, really a simple platform to learn. I think the C Trader one, from what I read, might be a little bit more difficult, but just because it's a little more advanced. Me personally, trading from a higher time frame primarily, I don't need anything too crazy, too fancy. So the DX trade, it's the easiest one, simplest one to learn from what I've read, and yeah, it really is. I mean, I've had no problems picking it up. Just a matter of getting
Yeah.
quick at placing the trades themselves because just different type of order bar, but that's about it. So pretty good stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. And sorry guys, like, to the viewers, sorry that I haven't really made any trades in this last basically the last like 45 minutes to an hour. So I the few trades that I made were in the first like 45 minutes of the session here, and really nothing has amounted to me being able to trade
Mm-hmm.
it. So it's been a little bit more dead in the second half of the session than I normally would like. But I did make one MES trade and one micro gold trade and one micro ES trade. The ES trade being right where this yellow circle is here. I explained the trade earlier. The bounce off the value area low level of 6,400 from the previous trading session, and took that big, or that just like quick spike right here up to 6404 ish. 640350 is where I actually got out. And on gold, the trade was at 2114. So on that trade, real quick, see if I can't.
Yeah,
All
and then
right.
after that, I'll show my two trades on the chart after that.
Yeah. Okay, so I basically got I got long like right around here of where the yellow circle is here for this move up into the top of the overnight range, and I got out, and that's all she wrote. So was able to get that little long move right here and be done with it, and glad I did get out at that point, because my goodness, it's just been a
No,
down and a chop fest ever since then. So a couple of small moves in the first 35 40 minutes,
and
but
it's
yeah.
Monday.
That's true. Actually, that's very true. That's a good thing to point out. I sometimes don't think about that being early in the week or later in the
Yeah,
week. I tend to let that escape me at times, and that can be to my detriment or my benefit, depending on the
yeah,
situation. But yeah, that's a good thing to
yeah,
point out there.
yeah. I'm all about Tuesdays and Wednesdays. That's my preference, and that's where I find the most success. Like if I'm placing a trade on a Thursday or a Friday, chances are it's not working out for whatever reason.
Mhm.
Tuesdays are the best, but Tuesday and Wednesday I'm okay with. That seems like the best with my obviously my higher time frame, structure. So Good morning, Coach
Right.
James. Speaking of, good
Dang.
morning.
He's awake. Shoot.
Yep.
It's
Yep.
early for you, my friend. That is early.
Where's he?
Sheesh.
He's UK, right? I think.
South Africa, I believe. I believe South
Oh,
Africa. Am I right,
Coach
James?
Coach James, you're gonna have to remind us. I was thinking UK, but I'm probably way off. I know Coach Richard on my stream is South Africa. He's in Cape Town, I believe. Aussie
Yeah.
and Cable for a long shot. Aussie and Cable. Yeah. Yeah. Potentially.
Mm.
I'll see. Looking here. Just looking at my top setups. But yeah, I can
Yeah, we
definitely
can.
show my
Yeah.
couple winner or my winner I had, my winner and my loser. Oh yeah, he is in South Africa. Okay. Good deal. That's Coach Paul, that's I think in the UK. Am I right there? I believe so.
Yes. Correct. Right.
Okay.
Correct.
So I I
I
just had it
believe so.
backwards. Yeah, okay. Okay, perfect. So yeah, so looking at the euro dollar, this is one that I had gotten in because I had bullish, obviously the bullish fundamentals, like I mentioned, and it's still giving me a bullish score of a 6. 5 or higher is a bullish score. So I did identify this 5-minute demand zone down here. This was a demand zone candle that was formed on Friday, obviously Friday morning, and just wanted a simple pullback, and it just missed it right in this point here, just missed it. So it kept it alive. Price went up, eventually came down, bounced into it, and in the process, it did form was it a 15-minute supply zone? Yeah. So if I just zoom in on a 15-minute time frame, did form that 15-minute supply zone there. So that essentially was my take profit. Well, just before the zone, obviously. Um, but yeah, yeah, price. So price wicked in nicely, got a couple nice wicks, really nice volume picking up after it did touch that zone, as you can see from the red candles here. So I just essentially waited for a little bit of a spike above this candle. If I zoom in a little deeper, I waited for a price break above that point and actually did it back here. So got in there, just kind of went sideways for a while, and then finally got a really nice spike yesterday, because Paul, this is another one that I gotta cut this out. So I opened this trade Friday morning shortly after our stream and set my alarm for 3:30 so I could get up, close out my trade. I didn't do it. I overslept. This is the exact same thing I think I did last Friday. I think I was telling you I did the same thing last Friday. Had a couple, thank God Almighty, both trades worked out for profits, but very easily they could have gapped against me, right? Especially with the way the tweets and the weekend news hits, tariffs, trade deals, all that kind of stuff. So
Right.
I'd like to claim credit that I was good, but I think I was pretty foolish and crazy by doing that for both of those trades. But they worked out perfect. So do as I say, not as I do, right? Yeah. Do not try this at home. But anyway,
Yeah.
so a profit on that one. And then I did have this Aussie Swiss short as well. This was another one I was in. I was looking at a 4-hour chart, had this little supply zone over here. So waited for a push out of that. I got it, but it just kind of went against me, stopped me out. Now, as I always say, in hindsight, when I lose a trade, I can't remember if it was you and me that talked about this last week, or maybe it was me and Daryl. But as soon as I lose a trade, my gut instantly tells me where I fell short.
Oh yeah.
Well,
Yeah. We yeah.
I like to
Oh,
say I'm super picky on picking these zones, but clearly, now that hindsight is a factor and it stopped me out, yeah, I did not like this supply zone whatsoever. Let's take a look. Let's chop this thing to pieces. So price coming out of that, I got no fair value gap on that candle, the exit candle. I did on the next candle, but it wasn't the first candle coming out. And price didn't even have the strength to break through these lows. Look at that.
mhm.
It took a while. That was just a lazy supply zone. So I made a poor decision on that zone. I was feeling pretty good and cocky after my euro dollar win. I'm 12 years into trading, and sometimes can be just like a brand new trader, right? You get comfortable, you get to where you're feeling on top of the world, and then you do something stupid like that, and it just kind of knocks you down. Now, the good thing is the loss I had on that was, obviously way less than the winner that I had. And the good news is I did not place this trade on my other broker, which is my much larger account anyway. So
Mm.
did good there. But again, I'm always trying to find extra examples, more examples, so that I'm a little more active on this channel. So, but
Yeah.
anyway, yeah. So
Yeah.
1 and 1,
That's good.
still profited plus $35 on the day.
Good stuff, man. And aside, I mean, honestly, I guess if you guys weren't, if nobody was able to catch the news segment that I did before this session, I did go over tomorrow, like, some of the news that we're looking forward to here. I mainly honed in on the Aussie monetary policy news, so that's coming out 12:30 in the morning Eastern time. So they're expected to cut rates by 25 basis points down to 3.6%. Maybe you will have, maybe you or Coach James kind of have an idea on how that will affect the Aussie dollar. I would think that a cut in rates would not be good for it, but I'm also going to
Right.
think that it's priced in, relatively speaking. It's relatively priced in at this point. I would believe it is, at least.
Yeah.
Um, if it's already being expected to be down 0.25%. So, and then on top of that, then we have the CPI month over core CPI and regular CPI month over month and year over year coming out tomorrow for the US. So, relatively big news. I mean, especially for the US, yes, CPI is, I mean, could really could really make for a volatile trading day depending on the results there. Um,
Yeah.
what's expected for the core is an increase by 0.1% from 0.2% to 0.3% month over month. I think if we saw like I think if we saw like 0.4% instead of 0.3, you might see a little bit of a small bit of a freak out, just a small bit. And then for regular CPI is expected to go down from 0.3 to 0.2. So if you had regular CPI instead of being zero point 0.3 to 0.2, if it went from like 0.3 to zero point 0.4, I think if you had that kind of situation, things might get a little hairy. And
Mm-hmm.
overall CPI year over year is expected to go from 2.7 to 2.8. If you saw that at like 2.9, or goodness forbid it somehow hits 3%, yeah, you could see some weird things happening. But I don't think that that's necessarily going to happen or anything. But just like in a if and scenario, um, and to the downside, if like instead of 2.8%, from 2.7 to 2.8% year over year on the regular CPI, if we saw like 2.6 or 2.5, goodness gracious, is it probably like off to are the equity markets going to go off to the races if you had a better than expected CPI reading? So that would be pretty hilarious, to be honest. Um, but yeah, so that's
Yeah.
really it.
When it comes to the Aussie, I mean, the only item I have that's given me a bullish or a bias sentiment is Euro Aussie dollar. So, yeah, because I was just looking at the index, the currents, the index futures, the Aussie dollar. Um, yeah, looking at it all on a daily. I mean, it's just been kind of sideways. So, yeah, as far as pricing in, pricing out, I don't know. It's basically in the middle when you're looking at this kind of higher time frame fanning out price action. So it's right in the center. I mean, I drew this up, I don't know, last week maybe. You had this little form of resistance point that was getting respected, and then you just got price starting here You got a more of a contraction box on a 4 hour time frame, I believe it was. Yeah, right here. So you got push down, push up, and then you get liquidity run down, liquidity run up, liquidity run down, liquidity run up. And it just keeps doing that. But anyway, you average everything all together, and it's basically right back to the middle of the price action. So yeah, Aussie dollar, definitely have no interest in trading it because it's only giving me a neutral score of a 1. So just kind of, just is about as neutral as you can get. But again, the Euro Aussie dollar, I'm getting a +6. So that's the only thing I'm currently interested in. If I flip to that real quick, Euro Aussie dollar, holla for a dollar, Euro Aussie dollar. Yeah, just looking at the daily, I mean, it's all been pretty well sideways. So, looking at retail, contraction box area when we're talking master pattern, I mean, it's just right in the middle. You see this green box, this orange box. That's a minor contraction box. That's a major for the green. So, same thing. It's really just diddling in the middle at this point. I mean, I would feel more comfortable just kind of waiting for price to go below. And if I flip down to a 4 hour time frame, a little bit smaller, then I have this contraction box here and I have this contraction box here. So since this is a bullish bias, that's essentially the price action I'd love to see. Yeah, price move down, hit some of this demand area down here, collect some of these unfilled orders on the way up. Regardless of what that interest rate decision comes out. I mean, obviously that would be good for this currency pair. If the Aussie does drop their 25 basis points, then yeah, that's typically a down move for the underlying currency. Now, obviously it can, wick above, wick below, but I would essentially look for this type of price action and just hop right on in. I mean, I ain't going to just do it if price down here, but if it's, if I get a good solid 30-minute bullish engulfing candle with some volume, then I'd feel a little more comfortable. Maybe even an hour. I mean, it just depends. News events really, in my opinion, kind of speeds up what was going to happen anyway. So if I've got all of my fundamentals pointing to the bullish side of this thing, then I would just use that as kind of a springboard to, get some manipulation coming out of that, drop into my demand and buy it to the long side. That's kind of the way I look at it. So.
Yeah. And I do think, it could be like one of those things where the market kind of is anticipating that the cut's going to happen. So it's not a huge deal on price action, but whatever the statement says, like if there's any details in the statement that point to a gloomier outlook or a more dovish or a hawkish outlook, depending, then maybe that's where you see more of the surprise reaction to a certain side,
Yeah,
whether it's the long side of so I guess you just have to wait for that to happen. I mean, when I'm sure you'll see exactly what's going on by the time you guys start your Forex fire session at 3:30 a.m. Eastern, right?
Yeah, I mean, it makes me kind of want to stay awake to watch it, but then I won't get my little hour little siesta that I normally get.
Nah, take the siesta. Take the siesta for sure. I don't blame you.
When that earthquake and tsunamis happened a week and a half ago, I ended up staying up all the way through that just because I was looking to see how that was all going to shape out. And it was a big nothing burger, like relative to the way they were freaking out about it in Hawaii and all that. Now, Russia got smashed pretty good. I was seeing some of that damage. That was crazy. But, we kind of lucked out here in the Hawaii and, Japan. So, but wow.
Crazy really quickly. We are at the end, and Crazy Z really quickly has the company given payouts. Literally on our YouTube page, we have a bunch of videos of traders getting payouts. So just if you check out the YouTube page, you maybe go into the playlist or something. We have like a whole section where it's just traders going through like interviews of their payouts and kind of just learning about those traders and whatnot. So, but that is time, as Coach Tiger was just saying. It was it really zipped by there. It was a great session. both positive to start the night and go into the morning. So can't complain. It was a pleasure, Coach Tiger. I will see you again
Absolutely.
tomorrow night, same time, and have a great day tomorrow. All right.
All right. Sounds good. Everybody have a good
All
one.
right.
I'll be back at Forex Fire, 3 a.m. Central. Let's do it.
Let's go.
Have a good one.
See ya.
Have a good one. All right.
Hola Prime, trade with transparency.